Hello. Does Silverwolf deal an average amount of damage? No. It's always funny when people take the first showcases of betas religiously and against the current HP inflated MOCs, a full E0 S1 team zero cycling pretty easily without even a best in slot sustain is a lot more impressive than you guys realize. That team's specialty isn't even lower target content, it's higher target. Phew. Yeah, really, exactly. Or Verly. There is some Yao Guang dooming going around, but it's just idiotic. Yao Guang's stack gen towards Silverwolf has been more than tripled because of the synergy. So, an E0 Yao Guang in a zero cycle can now generate 113 Silverwolf ultimate stacks, and an E1 Yao Guang can generate 153. There's a certain person on Twitter who keeps lying to their audience that Yao Guang doesn't matter because they've been telling their audience for like the last month that Yao Guang is going to get power crept and won't be on a Silverwolf team at all. And they also question my credibility just to end up being wrong. So now they're like fully coping again. They're trying to say Yao Guang does quote unquote nothing for Silverwolf and that she just sits there. What the fuck are you talking about, man? I think the funniest part about all this, right? The funniest part is the fact that the dooming still exists, right? It still exists. When Silverwolf has a dedicated trace for Yao Guang. This is the funniest part of it all. Never has a character had so much synergy in the history of this game and continue to be doom posted for the agenda. At some point, I semi respect it. I semi respect it. Doesn't Yao Guang generate half of Silverwolf's ult? Yes. Every in E0 Yao Guang, every time she uses an ultimate, will automatically generate 40 stacks for Silverwolf. She'll also generate throw for Sparksy. She'll also generate a skill point from her own skill. She'll obviously enable the Elation Aha instance damage. And she also has passive punchline generation outside of her ultimate. And her ultimate actually has a separate 5 punchline generation not included in the Aha instant or the Elation skill. So she has decent passive punchline generation for a third slot. She has massive generation for Silverwolf stacks on her ultimate, which just makes her astronomically stronger. And then obviously she's an AoE Elation support with tailored verticals. Do you think Yao will be replaced for Silverwolf? No. It could happen, but no. I don't see it. Yeah, also, like, I always have to talk about this with people, right? In the future, if they get their relation sustained, Yao Guang increases value even more, right? Because if the old leak is true that we got a few weeks back, that Nihilux is like a sub DPS sustain, and she's the one who can like help with ultimates on the team, then Nihilux is gonna fucking love Yao Guang because you have an AoE buffer, everybody's doing damage. However, not only that, Aha instance from Yao Guang will generate more resources from Nihilux's Elation skill. Because we now have confirmation every single Elation character's Elation skill generates something, right? Every last one. I wouldn't pull Yao until you're sure she's not getting replaced. I don't care, man. I don't care. I'm tired of this argument. You can do whatever you want. Go ahead. Wait an entire year when we're nearly in fucking version 5 to see if some support may be like a 15% upgrade over Yao Guang. Have fun. Who should I pull as a third support for Archer? Cypher. I mean, to be honest, I don't know if it's worth it. Because apparently Nova Silverwolf is being added in the 50-50 loss on Annie. So, like, you could end up just getting a free Nova Silverwolf by losing a 50-50. And Nova Silverwolf is not far off of Cypher, by the way, on Archer teams. Also, using Silverwolf as your third slot makes it so you can always use Genius on Archer. So there's not really any concerns about that. I think I'm going skipping and going for Ashvale and Silverwolf only. Nice. I mean, yeah, that's fine. Like, if you literally don't have the pulls and you're like fucking scrounging up pennies trying to get this entire best in slot team instantly, I understand that. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I fully understand this. I'm also not saying that this Elation team can't function without Yao Guang, right? Like, they'll still be able to clear. For example, I've been using my E2 Cassie with RMC Ruan main for like fucking forever, and it's been able to still clear within 5 cycles to this day, right? But Mono Rem is stronger than going into pure verticals for Cassie and her hyper carry. It's going to be the same thing here in all likelihood, right? It's the best in slot team. It's the premium option. It's going to be the most universal for all tackling all endgame content. But you don't need it. Okay, you don't need it. I agree. It's not about never pulling. It's about using your pulls on something which is actually necessary for a character to perform. I mean, that's fine. But once again, you are waiting until nearly version 5. And by the time we're in version 5, there's going to be a new power creep, a new best team. And instead of wanting to go like 2 to 3 more cost on a new Silverwolf support, you're probably going to want to get an entirely new team, right? I feel like this is an issue a lot of people encounter in HSR, is that like they hype themselves up to like, oh, I'm gonna go for insane vertical investments on this one specific team, and then some character comes down the line that's either stronger or way more enticing to the player, and then they're like, oh fuck, right, maybe I should do something. Like, this is natural. Are you seriously going to save for an entire year for a possible slight upgrade over Yao Guai? That's up for you to decide. However, it doesn't change that Yao Guang is best in slot. Um. Oh shit, missed that whoa. If said slight upgrade saved you a possible 120 pulls, 120 pulls is attainable within a single patch, especially on upcoming Annie. Meanwhile, you're playing a scuffed team for what? 6 patches? maybe more. So you trade 1 patch's worth of pulls for 6 patches of playing with a scuffed team on purpose. I mean, sure, you can do that if you want to. I don't care. Once again, I'm not you. I'm not waiting that long. I'm sorry. It's not happening. This fucking... People need to understand. Hoyo is not selling the teams the same way that they used to, right? Like, using this exact same logic, Asheville is going to get kicked out of his future follow-up team because he's too early. Gabby, what do you think? Silverwolf, Sparksy, Yao, Nihilux slash Evanesia? Oh, never mind. That's the team. And then Evanesia, EMC, Yao, Nihilux, Avon, SP, Blade, SP, Asheville, Pearl, Himiko, Robin, XX. Yeah. Yeah. I'd say that's pretty decent. I'd agree. Let's not act like Elation shilling isn't gonna be out of the wazoo. My brother, shilling only lasts like 1 or 2 patches usually. And then they move on to shilling something else the same way they did Dot midway through V3. Also, did you even hear what I said earlier? Yao Guang at E0 in a 0 cycle generates nearly 120 stacks to Silverwolf's ultimate. 120. This is competitive with Sparksy's punchline gen. As a 3rd slot AoE support. You literally don't get an insta ult on Silverwolf at the beginning of battle without a Yao Guang. It's uncharacteristic for Hoya to make a full team by the 3rd patch. And why can you guys not understand? Please, please, we have full proof. This is what makes this topic so annoying, right? We have full proof. Yao Guang is the EMC upgrade. He has no merrymaking. He has a Walmart version of Yao Guang's Aha Instant. He's a hyper carry instead of AoE support. They released the EMC upgrade before EMC themselves even released. They released the sub DPS for follow-up before the main DPS for follow-up ever released. They released the sub DPS and the support for Elation before any of the main DPSs released it. Stop thinking on such a surface level. This is all I ask, right? You are thinking too much on a surface level patterns, and not looking at the context, not looking at the nuance. And this is why so many people get tripped up and are like, oh, I thought Yao Guang wasn't going to be best in slot. What do you mean Sparksy's a sub DPS for Elation? What do you mean, Firefly's going to get this shit buffed in this? The reason I'm able to predict things with a pretty decent track record has nothing to do with me being smart, right? This game gives little bits of patterns here and there that will allow you to get very good insight into what they're going to do in the future. Like 99% of Yao Guang dooming first started from people who were saying that Sparkle would be best in slot instead because of her SP positivity, not at all understanding how SP positive Yao Guang is with Sparksy teammates, which is like meta has become too popular in HSR in my opinion. I genuinely believe this. It has become way too popular of a thing, and now you have way too many pseudo intellectuals who think they know way more than they actually do. Well, yeah, I said that yesterday. The Huo buffs are decent, but the main, prize is her E1. They're really making the E1 bait because if the leak we got a little bit ago is true, she's being added to the golden token shop, right? So you can get her for free from with the golden token they're going to give you on the Annie. So they're definitely expecting you to go for the E1 bait. Increase her sustainability, massive speed buff, which the Elation characters and a ton of different teams love. Like, it's just so obvious. Yao Guang is best in slot for now, but temporary. I don't care, man. I don't care. Keep saying that shit. I love how the goalposts change constantly, man. It's gone from Yao Guang doesn't generate enough skill points to Yao Guang is going to be on an Evanesia team and not for Silverwolf to Yao Guang is going to get replaced down the line. Keep moving it, man. Keep moving it while I play with my Yao Guang. Goomba fallacy? It really isn't the Goomba fallacy, man. There is way too many of the same people just constantly shifting the goalposts, and I've seen it on like every social media at this point. Sure, not everyone, but a lot of them for sure. Um, are you planning to pull Eva? Nope. Exactly, really. I'd like to say Sparksy Sylvet. I'd like to say that. It seems like Sparksy's damage share in a Silver Wolf team currently is like much higher than, let's say, Evernight and Mono Rem. Evernight and Mono Rem does like I don't know, like 20% team damage, maybe less. But Sparksy in Elation with Silverwolf does like nearly 50% of it alongside like she almost matches Silverwolf's damage output. So by the way, that leak about the Elation team becoming exponentially stronger with verticals was completely true, by the way. Like really fucking true. E1 Sparksy gives 5 punchline more at the end of every AHA instant and 15% res pen to the team. But E2 Sparksy, I think, is the prize, right? E2 Sparksy, she gives herself an extra turn at the end of every AHA instant, which, by the way, does work with Yao Guang's, right? So you get way more damage out of Sparksy. You get Thrill Gen, which leads to more punchline for the AHA instance, which leads to more ults for Silverwolf. You then have E1 Yao Guang with the 20% defense shred, and now we know her AHA instant punchline does work with Silverwolf. And then you have Silverwolf's broken ass E2. So they weren't lying, at least. You think Silverwolf will get a nerf? No. Firefly Nova was underwhelming? Speak for yourself, man. Speak for yourself. The Elation flagship doesn't seem that broken. No, it is, Uni. It's stronger than you realize. There are a few things to keep in mind. One, the Elation team has god tier verticals. They are competitive with Mono Rem. However, also, Elation, especially with E2 Silverwolf, can technically brute force literally anything, right? But not only this, they're missing their sustain. So this team is probably Mono Rem level with Mono Rem level verticals. And to be honest, at the higher levels, I think better than Mono Rem, to be honest, to some extent. And they're still missing their sustain. They still don't have it. I mean, I'm sure they'll change the Elation scaling in the upcoming betas. They'll probably change that. I doubt they'll keep it so that Elation buffing is weaker by that much. And Sensei says E0 Nova Fly with E0 Dahlia is stronger than E2 Firefly with E0 S1 Dahlia. Yep. What do you think is the best investment for a 6-cost Silverwolf team? Um, I don't know. I need to see more gameplays. I feel like E2 Silverwolf is definitely something you get out of the way at least. E2 Silverwolf. Obviously Sparksy Yao Guang. But then I don't know like whose E1 is better in this case. Maybe Sparksy's E1. Or you can just run Sustainless with Buff Sparkle, I guess. You could also do that.
Say, this is a pretty good spot to set up a Sparksicon.
You think the gap from no best in slot to sustain to best in slot sustain is that vast? Yes. Obviously. What? Bro. Pre-Nova Huohuo, the buff Phanon gets from Don Hung PT as his sustain, in comparison to literally anybody else, is like very, very noticeable. And then you also have High Scene with Cass. Keep in mind, Silverwolf is the Annie unit, man. The Elation, adding an Elation sustain, right? More damage from Aha Instance, more resources generated from Aha Instance. Likely has a unique buffing gimmick because this game loves making the main push team on an Annie have unsaturated buffs on every single team. If Nihilux is truly an ultimate character who can help with duplicating ultimates, then Nihilux goes up fucking massively, right? So that alone would make her astronomically stronger than Huohuo. And then if I had to guess, she's probably gonna have speed buffing. I don't know if it's in early Eidolon. I don't know if it's in her base kit. An Elation Sustain should have speed buffing because of the way Aha Instant works. So speed buffing, Aha Instant, Elation skill, generating resources, own damage output, higher speed so Aha Instant can scale off of it. Shit like that. Tactician, I will ban you if you start trying to instigate shit. I don't care about the global passive, man. Stop trying to instigate shit. You always do this every time. You've spammed this like 4 or 5 times in my last community post. It's annoying, man. It's a fucking one-time CC debuff per wave. Who gives a shit? It's arguably worse than Cassie's. For sustainless runs, you'd prefer Cassie for sustain runs? Yeah, exactly. Like, we're at the point where, like, Don Hung PT and High Scene, Don Hung PT specifically, can just cleanse you. Even if he himself is cleansed, his dragon will take action and then cleanse the team without him even needing to take a turn. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are at an age where CC debuffs barely fucking matter. You know what I'm saying? Maybe back in like 2.x, like CC actually really mattered. Sustains kind of struggled with the cleanses, but not really anymore. Yeah, Blade should be 4.3 apparently. I don't know about Pearl though. But it's already been leaked that Blade should be 4.3 in Nihility. Which is like, I don't even know what team he's meant for. Because, okay, we got a leak a little while back saying that all the men in this version are going to be on the same team. How? Is he a support? Is he like a Nihility support for the follow up team? Is he a DBS? Does E1 Huoho affect Aha instant speed? Yeah, I think so. Because she just buffs the speed of all Elation characters on the team, so it would work. Um, yeah, I'm not gonna do you, man. Okay, I need to farm this guy. You getting E2 Silverwolf? No, I'm not rich, man. What's your favorite endgame mode? Pure fiction? Yes, exactly, Bronte. Exactly. You know me so well. What about this account? You getting Silverwolf? I mean, I just don't know what to do this with this account. I might just like go for Ashvale's team instead since I've pivoted to Silverwolf on main. Get Evanesia? I don't want to get her though. No, but I don't need Sparksy because my main has a E1S1 Yao Guang. I'll just get Sparksy on the rerun in probably 3.3. What about the Noxai account? What about it? It's still just waiting for Cyrene. What do you think about the Doom posting on Eva right now? I mean, it's not really Doom posting. She is kind of cheeks, it seems. But it's like, who is surprised? I've been saying this shit for so long, man. Eva is not going to be as strong as Silverwolf. Every time someone in my comments or my streams was like, "Oh, Eva is looking like a free-to-play goddess," I was like, "No, that's not at all the case. Just because she can't use any supports doesn't mean that that makes her a free-to-play goddess." Which is exactly the case. She's like just way behind in damage as compared to a Silverwolf team. What do you think of the Firefly Nova? It's good. I mean, once again, you guys gotta remember the leaker who talked about possible fake collab and who leaked some details of Silverwolf and Evanesia kit teams from Tieba is now actually a bit credible because all their leaks came true so far. So with this being the case, this person also leaked, remember, the Sunday Jiao Q Novas. So if you are going to give Evanesia a buff, it's Sunday Nova. Sunday Nova would be an astronomical buff to Evanesia at this point. I'm like very confident in it. So before I was wondering, who the fuck is a Nova Sunday for? But now it's really obvious. It's probably for Evanesia. It's fine, so it's frustrating for me quite often. It's mainly because I'm a CC, right? Like, as a CC, you are open to seeing hundreds, if not thousands, of people's opinions very consistently. And, like, I understand caution. I get it. It's a gotcha game, right? I can't pretend I don't get it. The only thing is, what I care a lot about when talking about like character strength is likelihood, right? Like when we're talking about power creep, when we're talking about is this character gonna get power creep, two things matter a lot when estimating this, which is synergy and you know obviously leaks play a part in letting you know how many characters are coming down the line, right? Anon leaks said that we should be getting damn near like no elation characters for the rest of this version, right? Maybe one or two, and that's it. Most likely case scenario. And then I also see that Yao Guang doesn't have a single anti synergy in her kit with Silverwolf. It's all just fucking perfect synergy, which this leads to two outcomes, right? The most likely outcome, in my opinion, Yao Guang stays a best in slot. Elation teams get an upgrade down the line with Nihilux as a sustain for Elation. Or Hoyo does power creep Yao Guang out of a Silverwolf team, and I might genuinely consider fucking quitting this game. Because if you can power creep someone who is so perfectly synergistic as Yao Guang, and it ends up being some bullshit like same kit, better scaling, better buffs, steal Yao Guang's gimmick, make it better. I do not like the way you make this game anymore. I'm sorry, I don't. If they do that bullshit, I will seriously consider getting the fuck out of this game. Because everybody always says, right? Yao Guang is a tribby. And I've talked about this many times before. This conversation, this topic triggers me so much because the only synergy Tribby had with Cassie's team was high HP. That was it. The buffs Tribby gave were already given by either Cassie herself or other teammates on the team. She didn't provide really anything all that unique. She just sat there with fat HP. Like the way people talk about Yao Guang currently is basically what Tribby did for Cassie pre-Cyrene Evernight, right? Yao Guang is the complete opposite. This is a character, right, who her only value is being tied to Elation DPSs, which is 2, right? 2 DPSs in the entirety of the game, or maybe 3 if you run Sparksy main DPS, actually want Yao Guang as a best in slot, right? Her entire kit and verticals are solely dedicated towards buffing Elation teams. So if you power creep said character from Elation DPSs, they are literally garbage. They are useless. There's no reason for them to really exist. Fugue is barely power creep over Ruan Mei Tactician, and Ruan Mei is a mainly generalist support. Like, yes, she supports Break, and she has that niche. But here's the thing. Ruan Mei is a mainly generalist support. She has, like, damage bonus in her kit, right? Which doesn't even work with Break, by the way. So, she's like a hybrid. And even then, she's still competitive, by the way, with Fugue for Firefly. Still. And she's free. So, for a lot of people, Ruan Mei is actually more valuable as compared to Fugue, and Ruan Mei has the weakness break efficiency increase, which is always going to be useful at the end of the day for endgame like APOC. It's not the same situation. Ruan Mei will still always have value outside of break teams. This doesn't really apply to Yao Guang. Not really. I'll also say this, right? Evernight. And I feel like this is a very important point. You guys need to kind of put this into perspective. Having best in slot teammates does not mean that you need a limited character to be like 60% better than the next option, right? Evernight, pre-Cyrene, for Cassie teams, was getting Doom posted, by the way. Why? Because guess what? Pre-Cyrene, Evernight was only like a 15 to 20% upgrade to the entirety of Cassie's team. That's it. And if you played RMC correctly as possible, to be honest, sometimes you could barely tell the fucking difference before Cyrene released to buff Evernight's value even further in a Cassie team, right? So, looking at jumps that a support gives currently, even then, Yao Guang probably gives a much bigger jump to Silverwolf as compared to like what Evernight did for Cassie, right? But she should increase in value in the future because there is an Elation sustain in which she gives even more synergy to the team with. Evernight's a 40% upgrade? No. No. I literally remember this shit, man. She is a 40% upgrade with Cyrene. With Cyrene, she's a 40% upgrade on a full E0 S1 team. If you get Cyrene, because now you're buffing Evernight for more crit damage on the team and everything. An E0 S0 Evernight with no Cyrene is not a 40% buff to the Mono Rem team. I remember, if I remember correctly, the amount of damage Mono Rem could get in full E0 S1 with RMC, or actually it's just Cassie because there's no Mono Rem at this point, is 15.5 million damage. I literally remember this calc. Okay, it was 15.5 million damage in a 0 cycle with 300 AV. After the addition of Evernight, it went to 19 million. Right? This is like a 20 to 30% jump, but keep in mind, they gave Evernight her light cone in this calc, right? The light cone for Evernight gives the entire team 20% defense shred, and it's like a 40% increase over any other option for her. So if you then remove the light cone, this shit drops off even further. Yeah, E1 Evernight is really good. I'm not saying it isn't. But like base Evernight, E0S0 was not that big of a jump for Mono Rem. Or for Cassie specifically, I should say. Who's going to be the Elation sustain? Nihilux, in my opinion. If you make Nihilux the Elation sustain, the Elation premium team is now mono white hair. I know that doesn't sound like something I should genuinely take seriously, but I'm actually taking it seriously because of the fact that Mono Rem was mono pink hair. And then you had like Cassie with the purple. I don't think it's a coincidence that this entire team has white hair, except for Silverwolf who has silver. It's kind of the same thing. Yeah, I know. We were talking about it earlier, Solus. A sustain that copies ultimate sounds too broken to be true. You guys need to remember, the leaker said when meeting certain requirements. And Huohuo is already an energy buffing sustain. So she semi-accomplishes this. But Huohuo is general. So she's probably going to keep that value to herself. An Elation sustain is probably going to only mainly synergize with Elation characters. They can go all out if they want to. Yeah, exactly. Like, I remember people were saying that double skills were too broken for Saridra, and I myself assumed that Saridra might be able to make Feint on double skill every single time. But in reality, double skills are only something Phaeton can get twice at E0 in a single ultimate. Right. So, it could be a similar situation here. It's going to take a while to ramp up to said duplicate ultimate. You think Eva is faint on a V4? No. What the fuck? That's gonna be Himiko. Eva's like a My Day. Even if you made Saridra double meteor, every meteor Phaeton did would be as strong as Mono Rem. He's already stronger than Mono Rem. I'm not even trolling. He is now competitive to Mono Rem at higher verticals because of Buff Sparkle's existence. If you make him double meteor every single meteor, he's shitting on Mono Rem. It's not even close. I mean, invested? I'm talking invested. I'm talking like 12 cost here. Phaeton is competitive with Mono Rem now. Because of a Sparkle. I'm not trolling. You can look it up yourself. Like, maybe if you're talking fucking E6 across the board, yeah, Mono Rem is probably stronger. But outside of that, no. Phanon has gotten a massive buff from Sparkle. E2 Sparkle's like that? Yeah, she is. Because keep in mind, E2 Cyrene used to have really mid value for Phanon. Because there wasn't really like a sustainless support that was significantly better than RMC. So it was like, what's even the point of E2 Cyrene outside of the true damage and Ultin's Zero Cycle? But now that we have Buff Sparkle, everything has changed. Buff Sparkle is like a massively stronger amper than basically any other Harmony in the game. So E2 Cyrene's value skyrocketed since he can now get infinite ult while having Sparkle, while having Saridra, and he's now really fucking strong at high verticals. Did I make a mistake going for Yao on your account thinking Eva would be the Inoxo 4.x? I mean, it is what it is, Solus, at the end of the day. You play on the account more than me, so. I don't know, man. I see a lot of people coping that Eva is going to get a dedicated support. I just don't think it's going to happen. I really think she's just going to have to leech off of Silverwolf supports. Instead, you guys have to pray for her just getting herself buffed, her own kit buffed throughout the beta, instead of relying on like a future dedicated support. No, yeah, exactly. Nihilux should definitely buff both of them. Obviously, Silverwolf will probably get the better treatment in terms of shilling. It's the same thing as Yao Guang. I called this shit, right? I called this shit. They always do this. It's so fucked up, right? It doesn't matter if you are of the same path as the main push. This does not mean you are going to get the same treatment from the supports for said path. They did this shit with My Day and Cassie. They did this shit with Aglaya Cassie. And they're now doing it again, right? Yes, not Yao Guang. Evanescence is going to get buffed. She's going to get teammates. She's going to become stronger. But Silverwolf is going to reap the benefits. She's going to get the most shilling, the most tailor-made kits, the most tailor-made verticals. That's what Silverwolf is going to get. And then Evanescence is going to get the scraps, and she's going to have to work with it. That's basically how it goes. Good luck, Solus. Acheron was the Annie character, but Firefly better? No. No. Dahlia is better. Not Firefly. Dahlia is better. Acheron herself versus Firefly herself is a slaughter. Also, I'm pretty sure Acheron has been having like better clears than Firefly, even though Firefly got like Fugue and shit in like late 2.x. Acheron's been the better clearer consistently, I think, until um, more recently with Dahlia, which is like nearly fucking 2 years. If your argument is that after a character gets some shilling after 2 years, they finally come out on top, so that could make them more worth it. I don't know about that one, man. I don't get why we look at them individually. Because if Acheron gets a Nova and Acheron gets a teammate, her base kit being so much stronger than Firefly's will lead to her being stronger than Firefly. This is why it matters. It's much easier to buff an Acheron than it is a Firefly. Meaning Acheron is likely going to age better than Firefly, and Acheron actually has AoE, which Firefly doesn't, making Acheron more universal for a majority of the endgame modes. You can make an argument, once again, Firefly has been stronger than Acheron for a grand total of 2 patches. Congratulations. I mean, I don't think it would have made a difference even if Firefly's Nova Flare got moved. Because this Nova Flare, despite that, is still incredibly strong for her. I don't think it would have changed anything. She was one of the biggest winners from the Nova. Yeah, someone mentioned to me. Okay, listen, guys. My bad. I've never used Welt in my life. Apparently, Welt has 35% vulnerability on enemies in his kit that I missed. So, I thought his base kit was a little underwhelming. Now I was like missing something from the hype. So, apparently, it's 40% defense down, 35% vulnerability, and he's able to slow enemies, and he's a nihility character, so he can use like certain nihility sigs. And then he also has his E6, which yes, it's an E6, but it's also a standard character. So some people definitely have this shit for free, where he reduces res by 30%. So like Welt is actually kind of behemoth. And apparently his multipliers are also really good as well. They aren't like astronomical. He's not like fucking, 4.x main DPS tier. But he looks very promising. Which, once again, this is another W for that one Tieba leaker. That one Tieba leaker said specifically that Welt, out of all the Novas, was going to get the most gigabuffed for Himiko's team. Which is another thing they got correctly. They have a really good track record right now. Do you think Chrysos heirs will get individual buffs, or just buff Cyrene to sell her for the Chrysos heir teams even more? I feel like individual buffs because they can make more money off of individual buffs instead of like if you do a Cyrene buff, no one's really incentivized to like pull new characters for said thing, right? I could be wrong, but I think they will do either mainly DPSs or both. They'll do both because they want to prioritize making as much money off of the Novas. Himeko wants debuffs. That would just be Acheron power creep then, though. Poor Acheron. If Himeko just wants debuffs. I think Caster's skin means Chrysos heirs will be back in the story after the Elation storyline. We'll see. That would be cool. You're saying as if Acheron was in Power Creep before? I mean, you have a point. But, like, it's just like a direct rip-off, though. It's not necessarily about, power creep and who is stronger. But wanting teammates on your team to inflict debuffs so that you can probably stack your ultimate and get, damage off. Like, that's literally just Acheron. It's just a reskinned Acheron gimmick. Guys, it's not the same thing. You need to understand. Himeko is a main push. The likelihood that she has a gimmick ultimate isn't guaranteed, but it's really high. If she wants debuff stacked on enemies, it's likely that they'll make it an ult gimmick, which is my point. Maybe she doesn't. Maybe she just likes, debuffs being added normally to maybe increase her multipliers or some shit. But like for example, Phanon and Cassie and Cyrene, all three main pushes have gimmick ultimates from V3. In V2, the only one who didn't have a gimmick ultimate was Firefly, but both Acheron and Fei Xiao did. Yeah, Verly. Like at this point, okay, if Sampo, I feel like Sampo is not in this version. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like Sampo isn't in this version anymore. So if this is the case, and we do still have a third main push down the line, it's probably Nihilux. I feel as confident as ever that it is very likely Nihilux is the last main push as the Elation sustain. And she might have a territory. Which 3.x unit do you think deserves a Nova the most? My day. My day's gameplay loop is just butchered in favor of making Cyrene best in slot for him with her buff. So, like, the entire premise and the cool part about how you play him just disappears with Cyrene. Which is like, I understand they probably couldn't think up of like a bunch of good ways to make Cyrene best in slot for every single air. So they tried their best, I guess. But My Days is definitely the most scuffed. It definitely slaughters his gameplay the most out of any air. I mean, the fact that My Day wants to get hit in order to charge his God Slayers, it's basically useless. It doesn't play an important role at all anymore because Cyrene can just feed him God Slayers anyways when she hits 12 stacks. So you no longer really care about him getting attacked all that much. It like if it happens, it happens, but you just don't care about it. On top of that, his normal God Slayers are significantly weaker as compared to his Cyrene ones. So it's like, oh, I got a God Slayer, but who even really cares? Nah, Phanon definitely needs a Nova. He definitely does. I feel like the E2 blinds a lot of you. But like base Faye has a lot of issues with just consuming too much AV. It's not that he can't consume AV. I think it's fair. It's balancing, but he consumes too much at base. It's very similar to like a Firefly situation. Would you go as far as to say Phanon needed buffs more than Firefly? No. Phanon can still get indirectly buffed a lot easier than Firefly, so not really. And also his verticals are way stronger than Firefly. If you don't consider Eidolon investment at all, maybe. But if you are someone who like doesn't have this arbitrary rule of never getting Eidolons, then yeah, Firefly definitely needed it more. Because you need to keep in mind, there is one really good advantage with Faye that a lot of people do not talk about, right? If you have Cyrene paired with him, against 99% of Endgame, he will not die in Sustainless. It's like damn near impossible to actually kill him in Sustainless with Cyrene. So, because of this, him being able to run a Sustainless team and keep the buffs on him literally infinitely is really fucking strong. It goes very, very underrated. So Firefly, even though Break is like the second best team at surviving in Sustainless, they still can't do the same thing Phanon does, right? Like after probably two, maybe three cycles, it's likely that your characters start dying or your team is entirely dead at that point. But that doesn't really apply to Phanon. He can just keep tanking it anyways. Also, Phanon at E2 especially is a lot stronger against like AoE contents and APOC and shit. So no, Silverwolf isn't gonna get nerfed. She's the anti-main push. If anything, she might get buffed. New leak came out saying Fate Part 2 will be in 4.4. It's on the Reddit. It is not on the Reddit. I mean, there's a new Silverwolf gameplay, though. E2 Silverwolf with full E0S1 team. So this shit is 10 cost. Why do they not use E1 Huohuo, though? There's no way Huohuo's Lycone is better than Huohuo's E1, right? Just filter by new. It's 20 minutes ago. I am on new, though. On the leaks Reddit. Or is it somewhere else? I only see 42 minutes ago Silverwolf run. They removed it. Gone. Nice, man. I mean, if there's a fake collab, I want Gilga, bro. Please, just stop blue balling me. Drop Gilga. They ain't doing that. Let me cope, man. Let me cope. Gilga's too similar to my day. Who cares? All right, all right. I'll watch the E2 showcase. Let's see. All right. Well, what am I gonna see here? What am I gonna see? Okay. Starting off rotation, Yao Guang instantly gets ultimate. Instantly generates 40 stacks for Silverwolf's ultimate so she can enter her ultimate. I mean, it's like... Dude, I love Yao Guang, man. Alright, let's see how much damage this does. Oh, getting the Huohuo buff for... Wait. Okay, never mind. It's so good. Oh, wow. 2.6 milli on the first attack. Okay. This is against AA King stage. 840 from Sparksy. Silverwolf's additional damage gimmicks from consuming skill points are also pretty strong. Holy shit, a 100 punchline aha. Yeah, I think this team is definitely stronger than Mono Rem at higher verticals. I'm not gonna lie. Okay. It's single target. How much do you do single target, Silverwolf? Wow. Okay. Like 1.6 milli single target. 1.4 milli finisher. Yeah. Mono Rem vertical is still better? I don't think so, man. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think so. I wasn't looking at the damage on Lygus. I was looking at the damage on the first wave. Also, they don't have their sustain, so. Do you think Silverwolf SP works without Sparksy? Uh, I mean, you can use no Sparksy, but it's gonna be significantly worse. Once again, like, you can get away without best in slot teams, like, anytime with a new DPS, basically, but it's just gonna be bad. Probably Sparksy, Sylvet. The damage is not that high for an E2 Annie DBS. I can't tell if you guys are trolling or not. Is SP Silverwolf's E2 jump larger than Faye and Cassie's? No. Well, depends. Context. It's probably stronger than E2 Cassie's because it buffs the entire team. Right? Like, reducing res on enemies doesn't only buff herself. For example, E2 Cassie is only for her own damage. Right? But Silverwolf's E2 reducing the res on everybody to 0 applies to everybody's damage. And the reason this especially matters is because Sparksy actually holds a really solid amount of the damage output the team does. Like, a lot more than Evernight does in Mono Rem, in my opinion. So, team DPS wise, they're probably close. But Silverwolves is definitely stronger overall, in my opinion, just because of the mechanics and gimmicks. Like, keep in mind, best case scenario for an E2 Silverwolf, you could be going against like APOC, you could be going against like certain enemies, right? Who have like 80% res because they exist now in this game, and that res is literally gone, right? Your damage before that would have been nerfed by 80%, it just disappears, and you do the normal damage you always do. And then on top of this, you also get a true damage record, like bounce attack, at the end of her ultimate, which can be used similar like an exploding dragon from Cassie for like single target shit. So that's also nice. Keep in mind, true damage bypasses damage reduction mechanics. So you can also get that true damage off still on an enemy who has like fucking 80% damage reduction on them or something. I mean, yeah, we'll see how the Elation sustain ends up going. I truly believe if that ultimate support is real, they are definitely going to be Nihilux. But I could be wrong at the end of the day, you know? Like, I am supremely confident, but I can also admit I'm not fucking, God himself. So I can definitely be wrong. I just don't think I am. Yao Guang's staying on that team, in my opinion. Which current DPS would you equate Evanesia to? I don't know. I haven't seen enough gameplays. Eva's current performance is similar to an Oxa or Aglaya? I don't think so. I think it's definitely worse. I could be wrong though. I haven't seen enough gameplays. Sparksy guys.
This is ridiculous. How come I keep bumping into colleagues?
Yeah. I mean, once again, it's only V1 though. Their kits are gonna get changed over time. Nah, I'm probably gonna end the stream in like 2 minutes. I wanna chill. What do you think of Blade? If you look at 4.2 MOC, there's a bunch of dot mobs. Blade. Oh my god. It was right in front of me, bro. This chud is gonna be the dot sustain with Kafka. Oh my god. Oh, that makes so much more sense. That makes so much more sense, man. I mean, it's not a guarantee, but Blade being the dot sustain and him being leaked as Nihility makes 100 times more sense than Jiaoqiu Nova being a dot sustain. And this would also mean that Jiaoqiu's Nova is actually targeted towards Acheron and not dot, which would also be better for Acheron mains. It just makes sense, in my opinion. Kafka and Blade on the exact same team, and both dot, and he's the sustain. I mean, it could be wrong. It could be wrong. Once again, it just I realized it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of fucking sense. Yeah, there's also an old leak that Blade was actually Abundance, but and people assume that leaker was automatically wrong. But it's pretty likely this could be a Silverwolf situation. Silverwolf before was supposed to be Erudition and then was changed to Elation. So it's possible he's still a healer who still does damage, but also sustains and is now Nihility for dot. Why would they change him to be Nihility? Why do you think, dude? What path are the dot characters? Doesn't this contradict the old men on the same team leak? It does. But like, if there is dot enemies on 4.2, there's no Jiaoqiu Nova. I don't even think they're gonna do dot reruns around this time. Like, but Blade is leaked to be Nihility. It's either Blade power creeps the old dot team probably. It's either that or Blade is a dot upgrade. Also, it's completely possible Blade also works with the follow-up team. Like it could just go both ways. You know what I'm saying? Like an indirect buff. Not every sustain needs to be best in slot for like only one or two teams. I will say, if there is a character on the dot team that would get power crept, it would probably be Kafka. I'm not gonna lie. It would probably be Kafka. They've already given her for free, so it's not about being a specific path, guys. You guys are just overthinking this way too much. The specific path doesn't matter. All it is a sign of him likely debuffing enemies. That's all it is, him being Nihility. So he can synergize better with Dot. You can make the argument that Blade might be an Acheron buff, like Dahlia for Firefly. I mean, uh, I don't know if Blade is gonna be a main DPS, man. I don't know, cause he's already been a main DPS. The game usually likes giving differing roles. Like for example, we've had we've had Dill, and then we've had Don Hung PT, who's a sustain, right? We've had March sustain, March sub DPS, and then March main DPS. Um, we've had Sparkle Harmony, and then we've had Sparky C main DPS, like shit like that. They don't usually like doing the same thing twice, like the same role.
This is ridiculous! How come I keep bumping into colleagues?
Who would even pull Pearl? I don't know. My guess is Pearl is either for Himiko's team or for the follow up team. My main guess is Himiko's. I'm still standing by this. If she's not changed to an Elation character, she's still going to be on Himiko's team, in my opinion. Yeah. Like, a lot of people keep saying that they think Pearl will be for the Elation teams. But I just don't see it personally, man. I think Nihilux is definitely getting prioritized for Elation teams. So either Yao Guang does get kicked out, and then it's Nihilux Pearl, and Yao Guang is literally the worst character this game has ever made, or the more likely case, Pearl goes into Himiko's team as a sustain, Elation teams get Nihilux as a sustain, and then you keep Yao Guang on the Elation teams.
This is ridiculous. How come I keep bumping into colleagues?
I mean, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. I am sorry, but I cannot ever take anybody in my chat seriously when they say there's going to be no elation sustain. I just cannot take you guys seriously.
This is ridiculous.
I could be wrong, but I just can't take that seriously. Yeah, like every single main push character has gotten a full fucking best in slot team. And this has just become a trend since Cassie at this point. I don't get why people think all of a sudden it's, oh, the elation teams are suddenly going to be less predatory and we're not going to get an elation sustain actually. You know, we're going to get a generalist sustain for this team. And yeah, you know, no elation sustain. They're definitely not going to fucking sell an elation sustain with niche gimmicks that make them a lot stronger than any other option near the end of the version. That's definitely not happening.
How come I keep bumping into colleagues?
Yeah, also leakers have like indirectly already leaked that mono elation exists. Like they've literally said this, that there would be a mono elation slash mono elation teams, and it would consist of only women. So, with this being the case, you can't have an only elation team if there's a non-elation character in it. You know what I'm saying? Guys, just because Aha Instant only needs 3 elation characters doesn't mean an elation team can't benefit out of having 4. What what once again, it is so common in this community to put like arbitrary restrictions on HSR's team building. Like there's nothing that says if you use 4th elation unit, this shit's fucking bricked, right? Like there's literally only more synergy you can gain from a 4th elation unit. Also, right? There's a difference between having 3 characters, 2 characters scale off of Aha instant speed, but also sustains commonly have some of the highest speed on a team, right? Because they don't need to focus on DPS stats. So, unlike currently, where Yao Guang is really the only one who can get anywhere near 200 speed, you'd now also be able to have another teammate on the team who has nearly 200 speed, which can increase Aha instant speed and alleviate a lot of the speed requirements. So, for example, in a mono elation team, it would scale mainly off of Sparksy, Yao Guang, and Elation sustain speed, and you'd be able to run as much fucking big buffing damage relics as possible on the main DPS without having to actually worry about anything. Elation Battleship means for Elation characters, Sparksy, an old friend. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, in my opinion, Nihilux is definitely that sustain. I can't see anybody else being a sustain because, like, clearly Sampo. I mean, I don't know. I feel like they've just scrapped Sampo at this point. There's not really any other option than Nihilux. No, there's nothing about Pearl not being playable anymore. No, nobody said that. E0. Also, an elation sustain. Like, I don't know why people don't consider this, right? But this is something that just comes naturally from being elation. You generate punchline, right? So Silverwolf gets ultimate significantly more often, not even including anything else on Elation Sustains kit, just because they're Elation. You just get more stacks for Silverwolf ult. So you get easier speed tuning for Aha Instant. You get passive punchline generation, and then you have whatever the fuck else, you know, the character has in their kit. Probably some gimmick. If she's a main push, maybe even a territory or something for the team. Who knows? Alright, chat. I'm gonna end the stream here. Hope you all have a great day. Hope you all have a great night. Peace out.